As someone that's just starting off on their wealth building journey and not owning a house yet, one of my biggest expenses that is really a pain is rent. This is especially true because it's a category that you can't really easily earn points or cash back on, similar to the way that groceries or restaurants or anything else would work. There is a solution that exists out in the market though, and that is the Bilt Mastercard. Before I dive in, I just want to say that this is not meant to be a full review of the card. There are some awesome videos out there for that, but more so just an overview of how the Bilt card works and who I think that this is for. So with that being said, let's dive into that first major point of earning points on your rent. How does that actually work? Typically, when you want to pay rent with your credit card, your apartment complex might charge a processing fee of between 3 and 5%, or sometimes even more, to cover both the costs of the payment processing as well as a convenience fee of having you do that. This is, of course, not necessarily an ideal situation and only really makes sense if you're going for some sign-up bonuses on a credit card. The way that Bilt gets around this is when you sign up, you are actually assigned a virtual account and routing number, which functions as sort of the proxy for your credit card. From there, you would put in your account and routing number as if it were a real bank account into whatever payment processor your apartment complex uses, and Bilt will even do the verification process if that is required. Once that goes through, you can choose to either have Bilt charge that rent amount onto the card itself or have it deduct directly from your bank account that you link with them. In this case, your apartment complex doesn't actually know that you are using Bilt as a middle person for your rent payments. It just sees an account and routing number and treats it like any other bank account. So this sounds great in practice, but what are the drawbacks or what are the strings attached to this? Well, the major thing is that you need to have at least 5 transactions associated with the card every single billing cycle in order to get points back on your card. This isn't necessarily anything too big, and there's no minimum payment required for each of these transactions, so you could theoretically just buy like $1 Amazon gift cards 5 times, but this is still another annoyance that you kind of need to deal with unless you have something on autopay that you don't mind putting on this card and not putting on one of the other cards that you may have that may earn more points. The Bilt card does alleviate the pain a little bit by having this thing called rent day. Basically, on the first of the month, they double the amount of points that you get for each category, except for rent, of course. And this applies to all your transactions, as well as the 2x and 3x multipliers on dining and travel. There's also another really big benefit for some of us who own the Bilt card, and that is that the points can directly transfer to American Airlines. If you've been in the game for credit card travel for a while now, you may know that American Airlines is probably the biggest pain, besides Japan Airlines and ANA, I suppose, to actually get seats for. The problem with American Airlines, though, is not necessarily the availability, but just the fact that none of the other credit cards besides co-branded cards can actually transfer directly to American Airlines. You kind of need to do this roundabout thing where you first transfer to Alaska Airlines or British Airways, and you hope that they have availability for American Airlines flights. Bilt gets around this by directly partnering with American Airlines, and you can transfer your points one-to-one to them. They also have a host of other partner airlines, which I'm going to just put up on the screen and not go through. With that being said though, there are some drawbacks of using this card. The first one being something that I personally experienced, which is just a lower credit limit in general. As someone that made $87,570 and had a mid-700s credit score, I was kind of shocked when they gave me a credit limit of only $4,000. Now, this is pretty generous, all things considered, for a credit card, but that doesn't include the fact that my rent payments are $1,500-ish each, often reaching into the low 1600s, and there might be up to 2 of these rent payments on my card at the same time. I could alleviate this by using their feature that lets them take money directly from my bank account, but it is something for you to consider. Another annoying thing attached to that is just the fact that you can't apply or request a credit limit online. You have to directly call in, and for folks with a little bit of social anxiety such as myself, that's kind of a big con. One of the other things to consider is the fact that the Bilt card is partnered with the Wells Fargo network, so if that is something that concerns you, I would say to stay away from this card as well. But tying it all together, who is this credit card for? Well, If you want to get points for paying your rent and you also do a decent amount of travel, this card might be a good fit for you, especially if you live in an American Airlines hub such as myself. You also have to take in the fact that you might start off with a lower credit limit and you have to deal with Wells Fargo, which may be a deal breaker for some of y'all. If you want to see a full write-up of my thoughts on the Bilt card, I just started a blog and you can visit the post linked down below. In any case, I hope that this was an informative video, and I'll see you all in the next video.